Becca here and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing a sewing tutorial for the Grunge Joggers from Lowland Kids. Now these are a fun pattern. They are loose fitting. They have a couple different options. You roll up the hem for and then they have some really fun pockets on them that are, there's two options. You can do just kind of a basic flat pocket on top of the pants, or you can do a kind of cargo pocket, which is kind of 3D with a gusset around it. And I will be doing the cargo pocket with the gusset, kind of the hardest way. If you don't want to do the pockets, you just skip those over those parts. And if you're doing them without the gusset, I'll talk about how to do that. It's pretty much straightforward, just putting the pocket on. It's pretty similar to doing the back pockets where you fold it over and finish it. And I will also be doing the back pocket, so I'll talk you through all of those steps. And I will be using a sweatshirt fleece for this. It has very little stretch. Let me see. This is the amount of stretch it has. Like I said, this is a looser pattern, so you don't really need something with a lot of stretch on it, and it does have a separate elastic casing waistband, so I will walk you through all of those steps. And as we go through, I will link everything down below if I mention any tools or anything. So let's get started. So before we get started here, and I'm waiting for my instructions to pull up on my computer, I'm just going to talk about the different pattern pieces that you're going to have. So the first thing that everybody is going to have is you're going to have a front and back of your pants. So you're going to have two fronts. They're mirror images, meaning with right sides together they should match up, or with wrong sides together they should be the same. And then you're going to have two mirrored images of your back pieces. And on your pattern pieces you had markings for a pocket. I just use a washable Crayola marker to mark mine. The back piece just has a line for where you line up your pattern piece. You can pick whichever pant leg you want it on. And then the front pants had these kind of triangular looking markings for the front pocket. So if you're doing the pockets, you want to make sure that you transfer those markings onto your pieces, onto the right side of those pieces. If you're not doing the pockets, then you don't have to worry about the marks. But if you are, you're going to want those. You're going to have one waistband piece, and then for the pockets, if you're doing the back pocket, you're going to have one back pocket piece. You could do it on both backs if you wanted to. You would just do like the marking twice and then cut out two pieces. Since it's a rectangle or square, I'm not really sure if it's actually a square, but you'll have the back pocket piece. And then for the front pockets, if you are doing the just the plain front pockets, you're going to have two front pocket pieces. You're going to have two pocket pieces that are just these, and you want them to be cut opposite. And then if you're doing the ones with the gusset, you're going to have two gusset pieces as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the pockets. If you aren't doing the pockets, you can just jump ahead. And so I'm going to set everything aside besides my front pocket pieces. And we're going to take out these pieces here. And the first thing we're going to do is, you're going to do this whether you're doing the gusseted version or not, and we're just going to flip them over to the wrong side, and you're going to fold this down 1/2 of an inch, and you're going to do that on both pocket pieces. I'm just going to show you on one here, and then you're going to top stitch that down. So I'm going to go ahead and top stitch that down and do this one and be right back. Alright, so I have that top stitch down, and the biggest thing when you top stitch, I just use a straight stitch, and there's no issue with that. I do that even on items that are more stretchy. You just want to make sure that you catch the back in it. You don't want to go off the edge, otherwise that's not going to stay down. And so once you have that sewn, what you're going to do is you're going to take one of your gusset pieces. If you're doing the gusset, let me talk about if you're not real quick here. So if you're not doing the gusset, they go for the more grungy look, which you don't have to do. but you can. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take your pocket piece, and the way they have it written is you just lay the pocket piece right on top here. Your angled piece goes towards the top outside corner, and then you just top stitch around here, and you leave this edge raw. Now, if you want that look, totally fine. If you don't want that look, you very easily could just fold this under 1/4 of an inch. And I would use, especially with this fabric, because it's thick, you could press it, but I would probably use like a wash away hem tape or glue stick, and then fold that 1/4 of an inch and fold this 1/4 of an inch, and then place it on here just the same, and then top stitch that down, and then that would just give you a clean look if you weren't wanting that grungy raw edge look on your pocket. And then you would just do that same thing on the other side. So super simple either way. This way is obviously a little bit quicker and a little bit easier, but we are going to go through. So I guess the other thing is the marking doesn't really matter if you're not doing the gusset on your pocket. So what we're going to do now is, since we are doing the gusset, we're going to add our gusset. So what we're going to do is, the first thing is we're going to take our gusset and line it up one edge with the bottom corner of our pocket, and we're going to just line that up down here with right sides together. And what I like to do here is I'm going to just put a pin at the very corner of it to kind of hold it, and rotate this up. And then it should, when you do it, line up here at the top edge. And so what you're going to do now is you're going to take this and you're going to sew around here. If you're using a sewing machine, you could just sew and pivot. Since I'm just going to do this on my serger, I'm going to sew the bottom seam, take it out, and then sew the top seam to make it have a nice corner here. So I'm going to go ahead and sew that and be right back. All right, so you can see here how I sewed that at the corner. And the biggest thing is when you sew this, you just want to make sure that, like, when you are here, that it's not creased and there's not a fold in that corner there. And then we're just going to turn it right side out. You can kind of pop that corner out. If you did it on a sewing machine, you can clip the corner so that it folds over a little bit nicer if you wanted to. And then we're going to do 2 steps here at once. What we're going to do now is you're just going to top stitch this, you're going to top stitch your seam allowance down, and you want to top stitch it towards the gusset, not on the pocket. So you want to fold it away and go all the way down and around. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And the pattern also has us finish this raw edge of the gusset. I'm going to go ahead and just serge that edge while I'm at it, and then be right back. All right, so I have this top stitched here. As you can see, I did increase my stitch length quite a bit to like a 3.5 because this was so thick with the sweatshirt fleece. And then I serged this edge. This isn't really required, but it just kind of gives it a nice finish on the inside if you're wanting to, and it does give you a nice 1/4 inch guide. Because what we're going to do is we're going to fold it over 1/4 of an inch, and we're going to take our pant piece now, and that's the wrong one. All right, so we're going to take our pant piece, and you want to find your corner, and I'm just going to fold it down like that. And so you, again, make sure you have your marking on your pattern piece, and line up that corner point with your corner there. And you're going to want to use regular pins here to pin that down, and then you're just going to keep working up and around that other marking that you made on your pant leg. And then from this corner, going to, see, I need to move this because it's bunching up in there. Oops. There we go. And then we're just going to fold this over and line this side up with this marking. But you can see here, now it doesn't look great pinned on there just because it's flattened out and we want it to poof up, but the pins are holding it down. You also could use like a wash away hem tape or something here as well. And then you're just going to go ahead and you're going to top stitch here, pivoting at this corner and all the way back up. And then you're going to repeat all of those same steps on your other pocket and front pant leg. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this pocket on, do the other leg, and be right back. All right, so once you have the pocket sewn on, it's going to look like this. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to basically just baste it down so that it forms the right shape, because you can see right here how it's like 3D and we can't sew it on like that poofed up. So what we're going to do is you're going to take your gusset piece here at the top and you're going to fold it over flat, pull out all those threads, and then where your seam is, you're going to fold your pocket back over your seam and put that up in there, and we're going to baste that down. So this is going to give it kind of just that 3D pocket look once it's sewn on. And then we're going to do the same thing at the bottom. We're going to take our gusset, fold it down, and then fold this back on top of it. So basically what that's doing is it's lining up your pocket like you would if you would have sewn it on flat there. So then you're just going to baste those edges down, and you'll do that same step on your other pocket as well. All right, so I have both of those sewn on, as you can see. And one thing I will say, this one was a little bit worse than that one, but you can see here how the edge of my pocket kind of sticks out over the side of my pants. And that's more than likely just because the gusset kind of stretched out when it got sewn on. I'm not really too concerned about it. It's very minimal. So I'm just going to, I'll leave it for now, but when I serge it, I'm just going to trim that off, and it'll be fine. Unless you have like a huge chunk, it's not really a big deal. Like this one, all it is just that little bit, like maybe 1/8 of an inch there. So if you do come to that issue, it probably is just when you top stitched and did all of that, that your pocket may have stretched out a little bit, but if it's very minimal, I wouldn't be concerned about it. So now we're going to set these aside here for just a second. We're going to take out our back pocket piece. And the first thing we're going to do is you can just go ahead and you can finish this top piece. You don't have to do that, but I'm just going to go ahead and just serge across that top real quick so that it has a nice finish on the inside. All right, so I have that done. And the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to fold this down 3/4 of an inch with wrong sides together, fold down that top edge. And I'm actually going to use, this is wash away hem tape. And I didn't mention this before. I actually didn't use it before, but as I was sewing it, I was like, oh, I should have. This would be really helpful for the pockets when you're attaching it. It's basically double-sided tape, if you're not familiar, that washes away. And it basically is like basting. It holds everything together, but you don't have to deal with pins. And so here, where you have like that 3D and it's bunching, it would be really easy to use this on there. And I love it. It also keeps your fabric from stretching because it is stable. So, and it's relatively cheap, and these last a long time. I use it so much. But you just find your end wherever it went. There it is. And I get these on Amazon. It's like 2 rolls for $8 or something. I don't know. And I will put a link down below. But you put it on, and then you peel off the top of your paper. And then fold it down, and it just sticks in place. And then when, like right now, it's not going to stretch. But then once you wash it, it'll have that stretch back. But I'm just going to go ahead and top stitch this down and then be right back. All right, so I have that sewn up, and now we are just going to flip it over and fold the sides in 1/2 inch. And so I'm going to take my wash away hem tape here, and you also could do this using a like washable glue stick, like an Elmer's glue stick. That would work, or you could do it using pins. But that is definitely the hardest way to do it. So what I like to do is I just put this down here on the sides. I'll peel it off. And again, you could finish all of these edges if you wanted to. Not necessary, but you always can. So I'm just going to peel these off, fold over the sides. Oops. And make sure when you peel this off that you actually leave the tape behind. So I'm going to fold that over, and then I'll come down to the bottom and do the bottom. Fold that up. Then, so now we have our pocket done, and then we're going to take our back pant piece and we're going to find the one with the marking, and our marking was just to line up the top of our pocket, so we're going to just put that on there. And so then now what I do is, again, I just take my wash away hem tape and I go around all 3 edges now. I typically will just do these 2 sides. And also when I do this, I like to make sure, like here, I don't know if you can really see, but that's kind of sticking out. So most likely when I top stitch it, it's going to pop out. So I'm going to redo this one a little bit here, pull that up, and just kind of stick it over. And then tape that down so you can see it's a little bit angled, and now it won't be sticking out. And then I'm going to just pull off my sides and then go along my bottom, and I just overlap it at the corners so it's a little bit extra secure. And this is also great for like these fabrics because this is really thick, this sweatshirt fleece. So that helps with the bulk. So then I'm just going to line it up, straighten it out. Once it's all good, press it down on there. And now you don't need any pins. You can just take this over to your machine and sew it. So if you were using pins, it would be really hard to get that laying nicely with how bulky this is. Because like in these corners, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers in the corners where it's folded over there. So I'm going to go ahead and just top stitch around here on these 3 sides and be right back. All right, so once you have that back pocket sewn on, if you're going to do your other pocket, then you would just do those same steps on the other pocket piece in your other back pocket if you wanted to. And now moving on, so if you were skipping the pockets completely, this is where you would be starting. So what we're going to do, since we have our backs out right now, we're just going to take our back piece, one of them with right side up, and we're going to lay our other back piece on top of it with right sides together and match up the crotch seam here and pin or clip those together. And then we're going to take our front pieces and we're going to do the same thing. So right side up, and then we're going to flip this one over with right sides together and line up the crotch seam, raw edges together right there. And pin or clip those. Then you're just going to sew down both of those seams, and then I will be right back. All right, so I have both of those sewn, and now what we're going to do is we're going to just open up our back pieces here so that they're laying relatively flat. And then we're going to take our front pieces and lay them on top of each other, and we're going to line up our side seams. So starting up at the waist, we're going to work our way down and pin those raw edges together on one side of your pant leg, and then matching up our bottoms. And then we're going to go over to our other side and do the same thing here, and just keep pinning on this side down your ankle, and then you're just going to sew down each side seam. So I'm going to go ahead and sew those up real quick and be right back. All right, so once you have your sides sewn, all we have to do now here to finish up our pants is the inseam. And so you're going to start at your crotch seam here, and I like to nest my seams, which means one goes this way and the other goes that way. And so then that way it reduces the bulk and they kind of catch on each other to keep them lined up. So you're going to start at this seam and then work your way down one side of the leg. It doesn't matter which one, keeping those raw edges lined up all the way down to the ankle, and then go back up and work down your other side of your inseam. And then you're just going to sew all the way around here in one big seam. So once our inseam is sewn, our pants are pretty much done. The next step you can do, you really don't have to do this step if you don't want to, but it's to hem your pants. And the reason you don't really need to is because these are just going to get rolled up. That's the intended fit. They are made to be long, and then you roll them up and they have that rolled hem. So if you hem it or not, nobody's going to really see it. I'm honestly going to skip hemming it just because I don't really feel like it. And like I said, it doesn't really matter. But if you were going to hem it, the instructions actually say to hem it before you do your inseam, which that's fine if you want to. But I prefer to do it in the round. If I'm going to, it just looks nicer. But again, doesn't really matter because nobody's going to see the hem on these pants unless you wear them for a long time and grow into them and don't roll the hem anymore. But if you're going to hem it, you're just going to fold your ankle up 3/4 of an inch and then top stitch that down. If you were doing it flat before we sewed the leg together, you would have just folded it up, sewn it, and then when you sew this here, you would have had it hemmed already and you would have just sewn it. And that's why I don't really like it. It's really hard when you pre-hem an item before closing it in the round. It's really hard to line up your bottom edges, that folded edge of your hem, to look and lay nicely. So if you wanted to hem it, go ahead and hem it. But we are going to just move right along to the waistband. So we're going to set our pants aside and take out our waistband. And all we're going to do here is we're going to open it up, fold it in half with right sides together, matching up this short end here. And match up those raw edges and pin that together. And then you're just going to sew down that short edge there. Once you have that sewn up, we are going to take it, and it should form a circle now. I like to start at my seam, and just with wrong sides together, I'm going to match up that seam and pin that together, matching up the raw edges here of my waistband, and then just kind of fold the rest of it over on itself so that we have wrong sides together all the way around. And then I'm going to just do my front here. So this is where that seam is and where you fold it. This is your halfway mark of your waistband. And because this is a casing, it should fit the waist of your pants at a 1-to-1 ratio, meaning that it doesn't need to be stretched. It should just fit perfectly. So I'm only going to mark my front and back of my waistband. And so what I'm going to do is, well, you can kind of choose where you want the seam. I like my seam to be in the center back. Some people put it along the side, which is totally fine. It's just personal preference. So if you're doing the side, you would just do it sideways. But I'm going to be doing the center back and lining up my seam line of my waistband with the seam line of my back. Now, if you have a directional print, meaning your print goes one way or the other, it can be upside down if you turn it. When you put your waistband on, what you would want to do is your print here, so this is like, here's my pocket, you can see your print should be going up and down here. When you put your waistband on here, the print should be going the same direction as it is on your pants. So if I look at my waistband here when it's attached to this top side that's facing me, if the print is upside down, when I sew that on and flip it, the print is going to be upside down on my pants. So you want your prints to be going the same direction. So that's just a quick little easy tip to prevent your waistband from going on the wrong way. But then I'm just going to take my front point here and match it up with my center front seam. Again, if you were doing the sides, you would just match up your side seams. And because this is a 1-to-1 ratio, I'm now just going to keep lining up my raw edge and work my way around, and it should fit on there nicely as long as I keep everything lined up. And then work my way around here. So you should be having 3 layers all pinned together, except where your pocket is. You'll obviously have more if you did the pocket. And then once you have that all clipped on, what you're gonna do is you're going to, I like to start right in front of my seam so that I know that it's gonna stay lined up. So I will start here, sew all the way around, and then stopping about 2 inches away from where I started and leaving a hole. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew this up and leave that hole right here so that we can thread our elastic through. So I'm gonna go do that and be right back. All right, so once you have your waistband sewn on, we just have to thread our elastic. And I already have mine cut, the cutting chart for the width that you need, and the length is in the tutorial. And you always want to make sure that you pre-stretch your elastic, meaning before you really should do it before you cut it. You want to just stretch it as far as it can go a couple times just to get that initial stretch out. Because if you don't do that, you can put it in and then you sew it and wear it, and then it'll stretch out to a bigger size. So if you haven't done that, make sure you give it a couple, really stretch it to the max. Don't be afraid to really challenge it a couple times and then remeasure it. And I can almost guarantee that it'll grow at least a little bit, maybe even a 1/4 of an inch at minimum. But what you're going to do is you're going to take whatever tool you want. I'm using a bodkin. Highly recommend. This is my favorite tool for threading elastic and drawstrings, basically tweezers with little teeth and a clamp. And then you're just going to slide it in and thread it through. And as you do it, you just want to make sure that it stays nice and straight so that then when you get to the end, it's not all twisted. And so I just, as I pull it through, I just kind of keep adjusting it and making sure that it stays upright in relation to how I put it in. And then when I get to the end, or back to our hole, I guess, I leave a couple inches out at the end there, and then I pull this through out a couple inches. I take off my tool, and then you're just going to take your 2 ends. Now this is why if it gets twisted, you're going to end up like that, and your waistband's going to be twisted. It's going to be really uncomfortable and annoying. So what you're going to do is you're just going to lay them on top of each other, overlap it, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch ish, and then pin those, and you're just going to go with a wide zigzag stitch and go up and down that a couple times and zigzag that together. All right, I got that zigzag together, as you can see, and then you're just going to flip it and just pull your waistband and kind of stretch it out. And now we need to close up that hole. So what I like to do is I will take my elastic and just kind of pinch it in half with the edges together and kind of push it up towards the top and clip it, or you could use a pin. It just keeps the elastic out of the way because we do need to sew this shut, and if you catch your elastic, it's going to keep you from being able to get it nice and evenly distributed throughout your waistband. So I just like to do that. It's quick and easy, and it helps avoid the frustration of keeping your elastic out of the way. So then you're just going to match these edges up here again, and I'll start about 1 inch over on top of my stitching, and then sew here, and then finish about 1 inch over there, just to lock those stitches in place and close up that hole. All right, and once you do that, you're basically done. You could be done if you wanted to be I always like to finish off my waistbands by top stitching them I usually just use 2 rows of top stitching of straight stitches, stretch it as you sew, go through. I'll put it on like a 4 because it is being stretched and it'll cinch up, and sew all the way around there, and it really elevates your makes and makes your waistband look so nice and professional. I do have a full video tutorial on how to top stitch a waistband and make it look really nice, so I'm not going to get super into depth with it now, but I will link that video down in the description if you want to check it out. If you don't want to deal with top stitching it, that's okay, but I do recommend at least tacking your waistband down. So I would for sure do it where your seam is, and you can just kind of stitch in the ditch, and I would just take a straight stitch, and even if it's just like 2 or 3 stitches, that's just going to lock that elastic into place, and it's going to keep it from flipping. And I would recommend doing it in more than one spot. I usually always do it in the waist or in the seam line of the waistband just because it's hidden, and then you could even do it just like on the side, like nobody's going to see it. If you could even turn your stitch length down to 0 so that it just does it in the same place, and you just do like 5 or 6 stitches, and it just would be like a tiny little dot in that waistband to keep it from flipping. You also, if you just did it in the back, you could do that by just putting on like a faux drawstring. You know, you just lay the drawstring on and then sew the drawstring, and that's another method. But I'm gonna get this all top stitched and finished up. All right, so once you top stitch that waistband, you are done, and you can just see how much nicer and cleaner this waistband looks now that it's top stitched. I absolutely love top stitching waistbands. It's 1, very satisfying, and 2, I love the final look it gives. It just makes it look way more professional. But then the last thing that I would do is I'll just throw these in the wash to get rid of those marks, because I did just use that washable Crayola marker, so that's the only way that those are going to come out. But I think that these are really cute. I have not tried them on my daughter yet. If at the time I get this video edited, I will try to have them tried on, and I'll post a picture of them. I do know that they are more loose fitting and relaxed fit, and I think that they're really cute, and then with the pockets and things like that. But I do think that they look really cute like this, and I definitely recommend it. It's relatively easy to do to achieve this look, and the pocket just makes it a little bit more fun and different than a lot of other patterns. So if you're looking for something, then these are great. And like I said earlier, you can really simplify these down by either just completely leaving the pocket off, or doing the flat pocket. And I don't know, this one's not laying right. I think I need to press it so that it lays nicer. Maybe once I wash it, it'll flatten out. But again, super cute. And if you have any questions on these, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I would be happy to help. I do have all kinds of tutorials on just sewing in general, like I have the top stitching waistband, all kinds of other things of sewing skills. I have a lot of other patterns, including a lot of Lowland patterns, and especially the pants. I'm working my way through all of the pants to do a comparison, all in the same size, so stay tuned for that as well. And you can follow me on Instagram. It's at Sewbexx. It's SEWBEXX. And you can reach out to me there with any questions you have, or just follow along on my sewing journey, what I'm working on, and check out my tips and tricks and things that I'm always sharing over there as well. So thanks for watching. Bye.